Welcome to the Miracle Healing Lab, and today is the day of power. The idea of power. How do you know when something is a power? Like you see this on your news app, like there's a lot of conflict, a lot of this and a lot of that, a show of power and destructive power, knowledge, intellectual power. But the basic idea is then actually, so what is it then? Power. What is power? Now, that's very interesting. So you can feel powerless and you can feel powerful. And these are the two opposites that are like familiar to you. And so now that still doesn't tell you anything about actually the power is. That's why we want to dive into that a little deeper. What do you need? There was a question I was asking one of you, and of course now to all of you. It's like, how do you know something is a power? How do you actually know something is power? Like we know from Joel, for instance, that it's like two powers. Believe in two powers is what mesmerism is. And now that's an interesting idea. So that is not what power is. So in other words, power doesn't oppose. So then the next question is, what can it be then if it does not oppose? Like if I go on my bicycle through the forest, very powerful, pedaling my bicycle, and now the harder I go, like the faster I go, the more resistance I feel, and the more power I have to apply in order to literally like conquer the resistance, and feeling the wind and feeling the bottom, like the soil and all this. It's like then I'm really putting some energy in it in order for me to be able to accelerate. And so is that power, that you apply power to overcome resistance? Now this is a really interesting thing. You can say, like, why do you get tired? Why do you get tired? You apply so much power, or you are so much resisting, and that the power that's apparently opposing you, you are fighting. Now we're coming in the realm of awakening, of course. It's like I'm conquering a power and I'm exhausted of it. Like I'm fighting. I'm fighting myself, of course, but it's like I want to wake up out of this dream, and it doesn't seem to be that easy. I really have to struggle and suffer for it in order for that to happen, because it seems like I have to overcome something. And I'm very exhausted by it. So I apply a lot of power to resist some power. Now that is kind of a good thing, in the sense of as an example, as a good example to express the thing that's happening with you, however you have defined yourself, and starting to recognize that you're a whole part of creation, that you're a whole part of God. You can say, like, all this resistance, all this effort, all this energy that I put in fact, to establish myself still as what I'm not, is literally trying to oppose the power of God for that to happen. Well, it's actually different. I'm using the power of God to resist the power of God, which is impossible, of course. But in your dream, everything is possible. In your dream, you can resist God. Now, coming to the idea, and this is more universal, like coming to the idea of one power, we're talking, how can you experience one power? You can only experience one power by being that. So that's the interesting thing about oneness. That's the interesting thing about consciousness. So with your physical definition of yourself, in fact, you are resisting the power of God. You're resisting something. That's why you get tired. You get exhausted. You try and try and try, but it's not working. Now, There's a moment that you give in, that you surrender into something bigger than yourself. What do? What are we teaching here? What are we actually expressing? The thing we're actually expressing is this. You're not what you think you are. So what do you think that you are? You think that you're a body. You think that you're this. You think you're separate. You think you're... No, but basically, you think you're a body living in time and space and hoping to wake up one day so that you can be illumined in the love of God. Then everything should be easy, you sitting on cloud 9 and everything being literally served at your table. That might be an idea that you have about yourself. Who knows? So why am I saying all this? Well, to get you to look at the idea of power, because see, a universal power or one power, in fact, one power cannot be felt in human ways, in mechanical ways. It can only be experienced in a quantum way. Because if it would be in a mechanical way, as a body, for instance, a Newtonian way, if it would be a body, then I can be separate, I can resist myself, I can walk the other direction, I can do all kinds of things, because I have a location. Now the location dissolves by you recognizing I'm consciousness. I'm not this body, I'm consciousness. I live in spirit. I live in the oneness of my totality. I'm living in wholeness. My mind is whole, and I'm that. I'm not something else. So here we are, it's like opening that up. How can you feel the totality of your being? By being it, literally. There's no other way. You are that. So that's already arranged. So you don't have to try to be that. And that is the silly part in awakening, that you try to be as God, or try to be a son of God. Like that, all that attempt will fail, because it is already what you are. The only thing that you have to do, obviously, is then release the ideas that you hold about yourself, because they all resist the idea that the love and power of God is all there is, which is a universal power, which you literally cannot measure. It is not that some parts are more powerful than other parts. Like, there's no differentiation. It's universal. It's unified. It's all in unity. It's literally nothing is resisting anything. So there's no opposing power. This has an incredible impact on everything that's occurring when you are aware of like the totality of your being, that you are that you are the power of God. Not to do anything in that sense, but this is what you represent when you recognize your true being. So here we are in an practitioner setup. What happens is, apparently somebody's sick, or someone comes to you for healing. Now, as you do now, as it's like educated miracle healer, as a miracle worker with years of study in doing this and practice. So you say, okay, come and sit down and have a little chat here and see where we find ourselves. Now here you really start to come into offering healing. How do you offer healing? Well, we were educated, for instance, by Joel, or in A Course in Miracles by Jesus. And it says immediately, you have to accept this for yourself first, before anything else. Like when you come into the experience of your totality, that literally everything is healed in that, because there's nothing that would oppose that. So in other words, you start to see through the eyes of Christ and see the totality of your being reflected in everything. You start to see what you couldn't see before. Now you're able to love it and to recognize it as a total part of yourself instead of someone else that is sick, that seems to be sick. So this is the practice as we are taught in A Course in Miracles and by Joel, for instance. I'm just using Joel because it's like he's like one of us here, which is a lovely example too. And so this is where we step into the idea: is healing certain? Now, is healing certain? Like, apparently you can doubt it. Huh? You can doubt if healing is certain. Otherwise this question wouldn't come up. Is healing certain? Does healing occur? Yes. So is the healing certain? Or can you doubt about it? Do you need to doubt about it? Do you need to question it? Now here you can say, like, this is just a question from the Manual for Teachers of A Course in Miracles in the Miracle Healer's Handbook. Why am I bringing this in? Since this is a miracle healing lab, we experiment, so to speak, with the idea of miracle healing. And the experimentation is more like you're going to be confirmed in the idea that healing is always certain. But now you say, like, well, I never did that. I never healed anyone or anything. I never did that. I wouldn't know how to do that. And so this is interesting. This is why I'm making a direct appeal to your sense of, hey, let's take a look at this. And that is because of this. Like, you never did it. So you think you might have to practice first before that happens. Now, I've told you my first healing story many times, with somebody coming up to me who was a direct student of Joel, and he asked me for healing. Well, he was, so to speak, the experienced healer. He asked me for healing, and now that's very interesting. And I doubted myself first, and like, well, you asked me. So there's nothing weird about that you question it. But there's no reason to do that. So in other words, and we'll read that in a minute, but it's like, if somebody asks you for healing, and you say, yes, of course, and you step into it, healing is certain. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt necessary about it. How you question it in your mind is up to you, but you don't have to doubt it. Like, every time you offer healing, it is accomplished. And it works much better than you think. So this is why I'm using this specific question, is healing certain, as a speed up for your process to, in fact, be able to offer this, to just stand for it and be sure that you can totally rely on that there's no hesitation necessary at all. Doubt not the gift is the name. Doubt not the gift. So you're giving a gift, but you're receiving a gift at the same time too. Everyone. Oh yeah, this is nice too. This is from chapter 8. This is like an extra idea. Everyone who has ever tried to use prayer to request something has experienced what appears to be failure. This is not only true in connection with specific things, which might be harmful, but also in connection with requests, which are strictly in line with this course. The latter, in particular, might be incorrectly interpreted as proof that the course does not mean what it says. But you must remember that the course does state, and repeatedly, that its purpose is to escape from fear. Now, let's take another look. Everyone who has ever tried to use prayer to request something has experienced what appears to be failure. Like, yeah, that is not the thing here. You don't use prayer to request something. No, prayer is like a different activity than that. This is not only true in connection with specific things, which might be harmful, like you don't even know what you ask for, but you want it. That's why you ask God to help you a little bit so that you can get it. But it could even be harmful for you. But also in connection with requests that are strictly in line with this course. The latter, like this request, which are in line with the course, in particular, might be incorrectly interpreted as proof that the course does not mean what it says. And who hasn't thought that? But you must remember that the course does state, and repeatedly, that its purpose is to escape from fear. Now that is an interesting expression, and that's interesting because it doesn't seem to answer the question at all. Like everyone who has requested something in prayer might have experienced something that looks like failure. So the interesting part here is that you pray, you don't get what you want, but also the whole idea of prayer as you have used it is not where this is for. So it is related to the idea of release from fear. In other words, when you release fear, what happens? When you release fear for something, this is how it is related to power, you could say, is literally you're afraid that something is going to happen from outside of you that's going to do something with you. Right? So that is the thing. Now, the release of that. When you release fear, what happens? You actually come into a love experience. What do you experience when you are in love? You have experienced your connectedness. What is prayer? Experiencing your connectedness. So that's the only thing that happens. That's what literally why this course was coming to you. The release of fear. So you can be in what you already are. And recognizing there's nothing opposing that. There is no such thing as failure. No, it was just for you to remember there's nothing outside of you that can hurt you. And you being in a love experience, recognizing that there is no opposing power, that you are a complete and whole part of the love of God. So that is very specific, but it's lovely to be aware of it. You can see this as, oh, that's such difficult language, I don't know what it means. And like, well, you know what it means. And it is not about difficult language, it needs to be so specific so that you literally hear what it exactly means. Not a little bit in the direction, but exactly, like as like a brain surgeon trying to do something in a brain. So the escape of fear from fear is really the purpose of the course, so that you are in a love experience, recognizing there's no opposing power. All right, now we go quickly to our Miracles Healers Handbook, and see, here's the statement that I love so much. Whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Yeah? This is about you, right? You're a teacher of God. Who's a teacher of God? Anyone who chooses to be one. So you're a teacher of God, otherwise you wouldn't literally be here. You're a teacher of God. You demonstrate God because of the awareness that you have that God is within you, that the kingdom of God is within you. So whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. No? That's 100%. Not a little bit, he succeeded. Should he be tempted to doubt this, he should not repeat his previous effort. That was already maximal, because the Holy Spirit so accepted it and so used it. Now this is really great. So read this carefully. Whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Should he be tempted to doubt this, he should not repeat his previous effort. That was already maximal, because the Holy Spirit so accepted it and so used it. In other words, once you offer this, once you decide to be a channel for healing, you have succeeded. Whenever anyone is asking you for healing, for instance, that's one of the ways, you have been successful when you say, yes, I want that. I want to do that, sure. See, the rest, in fact, is not up to you in the first place, because you're not doing anything. You are just available as a channel. So Spirit can work through you for that to happen. Now, the works of Spirit, you're not, say, in the position, you could say, you're not able to judge the works of Spirit. And because literally, you probably don't even see it, what is occurring. Which is fine. You can totally trust it. You can experience it when you are open to receive it for yourself too. Then you recognize, oh yes, of course, there's only one of us. We're healed and whole, like rejoicing in the love of God. That's the occurrence that I'm feeling right now. I'm so happy to feel this connection. And I'm so grateful for the love that I can express just by being that. How could that ever fail? What is there that can fail? So this is really good. This is really good instruction, because you can really question, like, what on earth can question this? Why would this be questioned? What would question that? Like something that is separate from totality? Well, this was the problem that you were in with waking up. Like, that was the thing that you encountered. You thought you were separate from God. Now, allowing this healing for yourself, recognizing I'm not separate, I'm in a love experience here. You see that takes care of all of that. And now you can just, say, be with that. You don't have to evaluate it and see if it was successful, if it worked out the way that you thought it should be. Now the teacher of God is only one course to follow. He must use his reason to tell himself that he has given the problem to one who cannot fail, like Spirit. You gave it away. You were available to be a channel for healing. A channel is not the one, it's like the instrument, but it's not the one playing that instrument. Okay, so he must use his reason to tell himself that he has given the problem to one who cannot fail, and must recognize that his own uncertainty is not love but fear, and therefore hate. His position has thus become untenable, for he is offering hate to one to whom he offered love. This is impossible. Once more, his position was thus become untenable, for he is offering hate to one to whom he offered love. This is impossible. Having offered love, only love can be received, and not something else too. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. This is what is really meant by the statement that the one responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. The teacher of God is a miracle worker because he gives the gifts he has received, yet he must first accept them. He need do no more, nor is there more that he could do. You will have to accept this first for yourself, and this is what we practice. Continuously, let it come to you. Receive it, meditate, breathe it in. Let it come to you in whatever way you can receive it. Let yourself be melted down into the love of God. Why we're looking at the idea of power? Because, in fact, power is what consciousness is. It is. You cannot be separate from it. You cannot oppose it. In your dream you can, of course. In your dream everything seems to be possible, but your dream is not reality. So that's why we look at this and practice this in however we're going to do that. So it's so great to take a look at this. And that's why we needed to take a look at it, because in being in the Miracle Healer's Handbook, It is really your guide to come into the recognition that literally there's only love, and you are the one receiving that. In your receptivity, in your receiving this for yourself, literally everything changes and everything dissolves. And in a way, and I have to say that too, it's like in a way that you might not directly recognize, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't successful. So this is, we can practice this in a moment. I would love to do that. Like you can practice healing, receiving this for yourself. No, it is 100% successful. It was maximal. You don't have to doubt that. Wei Wei. He works with the idea of power, but in a different way. Unique versus identical. Like from a distance, you see here in the background, you see a field full of sunflower seeds. At least that's how they look, but they were handmade, handcrafted, millions of them, handcrafted and hand-painted one by one of 1,600 artisans. Not two are alike, exactly alike. So you'll see it coming closer in a minute. It is pretty amazing. The power of one. This mirrors I's belief that while an individual may seem insignificant or lost in a population of billions like China, each person still possesses a unique voice and agency. The power of one. But here he means the power of one person. Strength in numbers. The sheer volume of the seeds suggests that when individuals act together, they become a powerful, transformative force against something else. Then. See here the sunflower seeds. Now he uses that very specifically. The sunflower is a loaded symbol in Chinese history, particularly during the Cultural Revolution. Mao as the sun. Communist propaganda often depicted Chairman Mao as the sun and the Chinese people as the sunflowers and sunflower seeds, always turning their faces towards him in loyalty. Yeah, you hope for that then. So, reclaiming the symbol. By scattering the seeds on the floor for the people to walk on, as originally intended, or touch, ice strips the symbol of its authoritarian weight. Literally, he undoes the power by doing that. He literally, there's nothing left of it. He turns the loyal followers into a grounded, tactile material that belongs to the people, not the leader. So you see, like I said, this is there's an introduction. We're going to watch a video too in a minute, but it's like this is one way to express this. Of course, now you have this gigantic field of sunflower lookalikes, sunflower seed lookalikes. You can walk on it. You can lay down in it. You can, So that was his way to express and undo the power of the leader, but having the space literally taken for the people. So it's interesting to follow this, to see a little bit of this. Let's take a look. I have to find it back now. Yep. I have to go through the ads for a second. Yeah. Here we are.
Is it?
I think that's a whole lot.
I can say like, oh yeah, now all these little seats were painted and they're ceramic and they're painted. Yeah, they painted for 2.5 years with 1,600 guys. Imagine that for just a second. Like they went to work every day with 1,700 guys, bags full of ceramics, little paintbrushes, tiny little paintbrushes, painstakingly painting every freaking sunflower fucking seed. That was the occurrence. Imagine the energy that has activated in everyone. Like imagine they had a world making that for 2.5 years. They had a world together, celebrating the idea that they were making something bigger than themselves that would literally offer the world an experience you have no idea about. That was just a little bit of the experience. But you see, like, this is 1,600 guys coming together 2.5 years with a single purpose. We do this with the 6 of us. Imagine we do this with the 1,600. That's a bit different. That's a bit more energy. That was all put in painting these seeds as little children in like elementary school painting their little sunflower seed. Now that's loveliness. Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just by looking at it, huh? Just by going a little bit further than what you see. It's like, imagine. I cannot imagine having 1,600 guys painting sunflower seeds for 2.5 years. Like, what a practice. These all became enlightened monks and they're gone now. They're not here any longer. They made it through. They are on the other side now, laughing at us, trying to figure out what the hell this stupid artwork is about. You wouldn't tell by just looking at a 5-minute video that this is what has occurred, that we can't even imagine how big it is. So yeah.